For a very long time, I harbored a lot of resentment against my stepdad because I blamed him for my mother's death. Now let's unpack this. Hi, and thank you for joining me on the Other Side podcast. My name is Annabelle Kemi. You see, for a very long time, I detested my stepdad. I had a deep-set anger towards him that I couldn't shake off for years. This was because I felt like he played a role in the way my mother passed on. You see, my mother had always had high blood pressure. This began after she lost my father while she was pregnant with me. Now you can imagine how I felt knowing that she developed that ailment while she was pregnant for me because of the stress she was going through. I really didn't realize that I kind of blamed myself for it. It took a while before I came to the realization that I blamed myself for my mother developing high blood pressure because I felt even after my father passed on, if she were not pregnant for me at the time, she probably wouldn't have been that stressed. Basically, that was why I kind of felt responsible to a large extent. Now, how does my stepfather come in? Of course, years later, my mother remarried and everything. Beautiful marriage. My stepdad, an amazing man, a pastor. But here was the problem. Because of my stepdad's religious beliefs, he kind of started encouraging my mom not to take her medication as religiously as she would. Pun intended, by the way. I remember one time she visited my brother and I in Jos, Plateau State, and she fell ill. When we went to the clinic and they checked her BP, it was so high that they immediately admitted her. And the doctors were like, if we had not brought her that time we brought her, she probably would have had a stroke. You can imagine how disappointed my late elder brother and I felt knowing that it was my stepdad that was encouraging her to skip her drugs because they believed that somehow she was going to be miraculously healed of high blood pressure. Years after that, we thought my mom was doing fine. We didn't know she had started skipping her medication again. I was undergoing my industrial training, like we call it back here at home. It was supposed to last 3 months, and I was at the Plateau radio and television station at the time, only for me to receive a call that my mother had gone into a coma. Of course, I was confused. I left what I was doing and went all the way to Osun State to go be by her side at the hospital. She had skipped her medication for far too long, so she had a stroke. Now, what hurts me the most was this. On the day she had the stroke, she had been fasting. I heard that she actually walked from her store to the house that day. On getting home, she was tired, but rather than rest, she went straight to church where she was supposed to lead the opening prayers. My stepdad, who was a full-time pastor, had been at home all day, did not think that his wife should have rested the moment she got home, or at least had something to eat before she went to lead the prayers. As soon as she was done with the opening prayers, she said she had a nagging headache and she went upstairs. She called my kid sister, who was about 5 or 6 at the time, to come with her upstairs. My mom told her, please pray for me, I have a headache. My kid sister too, of course, because of the beliefs, took a glass of water and prayed into it the best way she could. She was a child, by the way, and gave it to my mom. And my mom drank the water. And that was it. That was the last time she was ever fully conscious again. She obviously went into a coma. My stepdad did not come up to check on his wife. Rather, he made sure he was done with the service before coming up. At the time he got up, her feet and her hands were cold from what I was told. And rather than take her to hospital immediately, guess what he did? He prayed for her again and then asked them to get warm water and massage her hands and her feet. She was not responding, by the way. He did not think that she probably had slid into a coma or had fainted or something. Rather, they left her there for hours. It was when they realized that she wasn't coming through at all that they finally took her to hospital. By the time they got there, of course it was too late. By the time I got there, she had been in hospital for 1 day. And the worst part of it was this. Throughout the 2 weeks that she was in hospital in a coma, my stepdad never passed the night in the hospital with her. I was the one who was there all through day and night. No other person. Except for when my elder brother came around and passed one night with me because he was undergoing a course and I understood that. My stepdad was there. He would come in the mornings, hang around, pray for her and leave. He never spent a night there. He was more concerned about his church than his wife. Now you can imagine how that would hurt anyone. So for the longest time, I harbored deep-set resentment for my stepdad because obviously after 2 weeks, my mom passed on. And it was one of the toughest losses I have ever experienced in my entire life. That hurts me deeply. One, I carried the burden of feeling like I was responsible for her even developing the high BP in the first place. To now top it up, my stepdad was so negligent that it led to my siblings and I losing her at the young age of 48. And for a very long time, the hatred, the anger, the bitterness towards my stepdad kept poisoning me. I didn't speak with him for over a year. I didn't send money home. I did nothing of such. I only spoke with my step-siblings and I let him be. I harbored that resentment for the longest time. But do you know the funny thing? I was hurting because I knew this man had been good to me growing up as a child. He was a sterling father figure for me. And were it not for him, so many things would have been different about my life and the life of my siblings. So I owed him something to a large extent. But even at that, because of the circumstances surrounding the death of my mom, I was angry. That anger kept eating me up. It kept hurting me. But then something happened one day. I attended a church by chance in Lagos. They were talking about forgiveness. And I felt it strong in my spirit that, look, it was time to let go because it was eating me up. From the inside out, I was hurting so bad, always feeling ill. Nothing was working. I was just hurt every time. After listening to the sermon, I just knew that it was time to just let go of that burden and stop poisoning myself. The moment I let go of it, I called him and I asked how he was doing, and that was it. He lived to be 76 years old, and I was honored to play a major role when he passed on, at least in his burial and everything. And I know that I played the role of a good daughter. But I am so happy that I got to forgive him. One particular thing that happened that made me happy that I forgave him was this. When he started falling ill in his 70s and he had a surgery in Abuja, I was living in Abuja at the time, and I went to see him in the hospital. He had the early signs of dementia at the time, so he could barely get his words together. I couldn't even speak, really. He could only gesture and blot out a few words. The moment I came into the hospital that day, he was so excited and he beckoned on me to come sit by his bedside. His other children were there. I am not his biological child, but he beckoned on me to come sit by his bedside. I sat down with him. He pulled out his Bible and he opened to a psalm and asked me to read it to him. And I was reading the psalm to him and reading it to him. That moment I will cherish for the rest of my life, because at that moment I knew it was important that I had forgiven that man. Imagine if he had gone to his grave knowing that one of his favorite daughters hated him that much. And truth be told, I was suffering more than he was suffering. They are both in heaven now. But you know, the message I really want to pass today is this. We should learn to give our parents benefit of a doubt. Understand that just as we are learning to navigate this life, they also did not have all the answers in their time. They were also trying to figure things out. They made mistakes. Some grievous, like the one that led to my mother passing on. But even at that, we have to give them grace. We have to forgive them for being human. I'm so grateful that I forgave my stepdad eventually. It taught me a major lesson. All the anger I felt towards him was unnecessary. Of course, it was normal that I would be hurt. Duh, it was my mom. But then, this was a man that also was trying to figure out life himself. Wasn't coming from a malicious place. He had his issues. Yeah, maybe he didn't care for his wife enough. But even at that, we all are fallible. So, who was I to act like I was God? You know, these days I make mistakes and I'm learning to give myself grace and understand and forgive myself, you know, for the mistakes I make or the mistakes I had made in the past. And it made me realize that, look, my parents were humans too, and they made mistakes. And it was best that I forgive them. Just like our Father in heaven forgives us daily. On that note, I want to encourage you, if you harbor some sort of resentment against someone you care for, it may not be a parent, it may be a partner, it may be a friend that you care so much for, and the person might have hurt you deeply, I think you should let go of this poison. The poison is killing you, not them. Just let go of the poison of unforgiveness and let it be. You might not forget entirely, but of course it's important that you forgive and move on with your life. It will do you a whole lot of good. Thank you for hanging out with me on another episode of the Other Side podcast. I am Annabelle Kemi. Please do me a favor. Come back next time. Let's get to chat. And if you don't mind, share your experiences with unforgiveness with me. Love you, and I'll see you in the next episode. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye.